Okay, hi everyone. So, welcome to module number 2. In this module, you're going to be learning what is positive youth development, as well as the frameworks that are under positive youth development. You're going to learn how to use positive youth development during your mentorship sessions, and then we're going to walk through some scenarios so that you can practice using it. So, what is positive youth development? And I will be referring to it as PYD. So, positive youth development is a strength based approach. So, in other words, we focus on a young person's strengths, their potentials, and their assets. So, that does not mean that we do not hold our young people accountable. But even when we do, as you know, as stated in our mentorship policies, we look at our young people through a restorative accountability lens. So when there is a behavior, for example, there's a young person in your session who is always using their phone. You will not take it from the perspective of what is wrong with this young person. You will start to think, okay, how do I need to create my session so that this young person can be more interested in what's going on during our session as opposed to what's going on their phone? So that conversation with the young person will be like, hey, um, random name, Anika, I recognize that you are on your phone at times during our session. Is there something going on in our session that is making you maybe not necessarily enjoy the session, which is probably maybe why you need to be on your phone, or is there another reason? Asking them why they're doing that behavior. And then let's say Anika says, well, sometimes the session is a little boring, so I go on my phone. Then you would go, okay, so I know that you are a young person and young people can be very fun. Do you have any suggestions for how we might make the session more fun for you so that you can be less on your phone and more in tune with what's going on? And having them give them those kind of suggestions, as opposed to, hey, Anika, get off your phone. So you see how the way I addressed Anika in the first instance is very different from just saying, hey, Anika, get off your phone. No, as opposed to just being punitive, um, you spoke to the young person and you leveled with them. How can I make this session more fun so that you aren't looking for that dopamine, that fun on your phone? Right? So, again, looking at young people's strengths, looking at them as potential, and looking at them as assets to make your session be more interactive, be more fun, etc. So, as a mentor, PYD is going to be your compass. It is your North Star as to how we deal with young people, particularly in BHEC programming, right? So you thrive when adults believe in their potential. Your belief in a mentee can shift even how they see themselves. BHEC, we are dealing with young people. Young people are extremely impressionable. And oftentimes they come into programs and there are beliefs that they may have about themselves because of where they grew up, because of their family, their community, etc. Right? And so you as a mentor being able to be like, hey, I recognize that, you are an amazing speaker, like calling out those strengths in their session. I realize that you're able to make other young people find humor even in the serious things that we're talking about. So even calling out those strengths of young people during sessions can maybe help them shift certain negative core beliefs that they had about themselves previously. But also remembering that being a mentor does not mean that you are a tutor or a therapist, right? You can call out someone's strengths, potential, their assets without making the relationship seem like like you're their therapist or their teacher, right? And so just know that our young people have their own talents, their own lived experiences, and your role is to basically call out the good parts of themselves while helping them to work on any quote unquote negative attributes that may also be coming forward during sessions. And so when we think about PYD, there are 5 reasons why we use PYD, and these 5 frameworks are listed here. So the reason why we focus on strengths, which is what PYD is about, is because we're trying to help our young people build competence. So again, PYD doesn't mean that there is no accountability. That's also why we do a restorative accountability approach, right? Although you helping our young people to believe that they can achieve X health career, right? And in order maybe to achieve X health career, let's say a young person says to you, I want to work in health communication, but you realize that they are afraid of public speaking, right? However, you notice that they are good with in when it comes to one-on-one conversations and small talk. You can say to them, hey, I noticed that when you're talking to your peers one on one, you are excellent at conversations. How can we what things do you think work well when you're talking to someone one on one that may help you be better at public speaking? And how can we help you build those tools and skills? So helping them build competence, right? And the more competent a young person feels, the more confident they can feel in their ability to achieve X health career because their self worth and self identity goes from negative core beliefs to positive core beliefs about themselves now. And once you have competence and confidence, you can now feel connection, right? So if your mentor is helping you build competence in an area that you were not strong in before, and because now you have this newfound competence, you found confidence in yourself, you are more likely to have a stronger relationship with that mentor, right? So all of these things connect. And the more you have competence, the more confidence you build, the more you get rid of negative self-talk, your character is also being built, right? So you have better self-values, better integrity, more respect for yourself and others. And the more you can respect your not just yourself but others, the more caring you become, the more empathetic and sometimes sympathetic you become to others' experiences. So, this is how positive youth development works, particularly in the mentorship lens. And again, if you have any questions, please jot them down and bring them to the orientation. I would love to talk through any concepts more. So, how PYD would guide your session. So, again, it is a focus on strengths. We're trying to build our young people's competence, their confidence, their character, their ability to care for others, their ability to connect with you as the mentor and with their peers, right? And so instead of just telling mentees what to do, being directive, being a police officer, like I gave with the cell phone conversation, what about our session is making you feel disengaged? And if they say the session can be boring at times, okay, so how can we make the session more engaging so that you are on your cell phone a bit less and allow them to give some suggestions, right? So not just telling them again, hey, get off your phone, but asking them, what do you want and how can we achieve that? Focusing not on what they're doing wrong. No. I name even when they're doing things wrong or there's something that they need to build competence in or get better at, naming their strength first. So, like with the public speaking example, saying, "Hey, I recognize in one-on-one conversations you navigate those really well. What tools do you think you use in one-on-one conversations that may be beneficial to you in a public speaking scenario?" Helping them name that and be like, you see how amazing you are and the tools that you use when you speak with someone one on one. Now let's try to apply that in a public speaking scenario and giving them space to practice that, right? Don't lecture again, not being a teacher or a therapist, right? Lecturing them or just giving them advice, but again, truly asking, what do you want to get out of this? How do we get there? Helping them come up with their own solutions to their own problems, right? Young people are capable. Don't make assumptions, right? Let them if they tell you this is how I want to get from A to B, let them lead and provide guidance along the way when you see that they might be taking a wrong turn. But don't, again, be the police officer just giving them directions. Young people, again, are capable. So, How do we turn positive youth development and these five core tenets into actual actionable skills that you can use as a mentor during mentorship? So, the first skill that you can actually use that comes from PYD is active listening. So, that means you're really hearing what the mentee says. You're not just waiting for your turn to talk. So, people will say in arguments sometimes, you are not listening to like really respond, you're listening to react. Don't listen to a young person to react to what they say. Listen to really respond and show them that you're really listening to what they're saying. Excuse me, you're understanding what they're saying, and now you're going to help them come up with their own solutions to whatever the issue may be. So that looks like you when they're talking to you, put your phone or whatever away and make some eye contact. Show the young people that they matter by actually showing them body language wise, I'm paying attention to you. Not unusual responses like I hear you, tell me more, or be like are you saying that X, Y, and Z is happening so that they can know. Like I said, reflect back. Don't interrupt them. It's okay to be silent and give them space to share their thoughts and feelings. And I will also say on the other side, if a young person is going on and on and on and on and on, and the session is going on, you can say, okay, I love that you're sharing that thought. We do not have time to keep chipping away at this, but at least acknowledge that you hear and understand what they're saying. And ask follow-up questions when necessary to go deeper and show that, oh, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I have some clarifications that I want to just make sure my brain can wrap around. So, quick tip, all of the sessions have agendas. Like I said in the first, there will be no point at which you'll be bringing it. There's a mentor playbook that will guide you through every session. You'll have worksheets, links, etc. for every session. But still ensure that you're leaving room for mentees to show their own experiences. So, for example, in session one, while you are sharing about your own academic journey, ask the mentees, okay, when you guys think about what you want to be, or when you think about issues in your community that you want to have an impact on, what are those issues? What careers do you think go with those issues? What schools have you guys thought about that may be good for you to go to become that career or that thing? So giving them space to also talk and share, and you know, asking them what do they think? Is there anything that you can clarify for them? Not just saying, do you have questions? Because just saying, do you have questions? Oftentimes, some people will be like, no, we don't have questions. But saying, is there anything I said that didn't make much sense? Is there anything I can clarify? Might be a better way of phrasing that. And ask them, how can we make this more engaging? Again, the sessions all have agendas, but you as the mentors have your own personality. Please, 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 please infuse your personality into the sessions, right? The session checklists and everything are just guides. As long as you get the deliverables done by the end of the session, absolutely infuse your experiences, your personality, who you are into the sessions. Make it fun for our young people, okay? So, phrases to try. That makes sense. Say more about that. How did that make you feel? What would you want to happen? What would you want to get out of mentorship? Okay, so skill one to really do during mentorship is to listen actively and give our young people space to share and feel like they're really a part of the whole process of being mentored. Skill two is spotting strengths, so strength spotting. So youth often do not see what adults seeing them, and your job is to be that mirror that reflects those strengths back to them. So a young person may be really good at rallying their group and getting their group to pay attention after, for example, they've done something rowdy or exciting. So let's say they do an icebreaker, and after the icebreaker, it's taking them a second to settle down. And there's this one person who's really like a leader and is able to like, hey guys, our mentor is ready. You can be like, thank you so much, Annabeth. You're so good at rallying your peers and getting them to settle. Like, really, you can do shout outs with everyone else. You can also pull them on the side and be like, hey, today I just want to shout you out today. You participated so well. You had questions. I just want to like shouting people out. We as adults, we love to be noticed for the good things that we do. So do young people. So really, really shouting them out publicly amongst their peers or other others in their group, or pulling them on the side and being like, "Hey, I see you. I see you. You're doing the thing." Okay. So notice it. Pay attention to how they engage, not just the things they say. They show curiosity, empathy, creativity, etc. Name those strengths. Don't just be generic, like, oh, you're great, but name the specific strength that you're calling out or that you see within them, and then connect it back to their future. So you can be like, oh my God, I realized that you think so critically about things. That kind of problem solving is exactly what a public health researcher would do. And I know you said you want to be a public health researcher. So connecting it back to their shared career interests. Okay, so that was skill one, active listening. Skill two, spotting strengths. And skill three is really supporting goals and just following young people's lead. In the very first session, our young people are going to write out a personal goal and a mentorship goal using the SMART goal approach. And so throughout the sessions, I want you to celebrate their small wins and their big wins. Be like, hey, I see that you're working on your SMART goal. You said you want to be better personally at public speaking, and I see you speaking up more during sessions. I love that. I love that. I love that, you know? So, really, like, calling that out, or even just asking, how's the goal going? What has gotten in your way weekly of being able to move towards that goal? What would make it easier? And again, if the goal changes, letting them know that it's okay if you want to change that goal. It's probably not working out now, and that's okay. And support their new direction with that as well. And so, this using an example. So we have Marcus, who's the mentor, and Jordan, who's the mentee. And so in scene one, um, you have Marcus saying, hey, Jordan, how are you doing today? Is there anything on your mind? Having the young person like really see that you care and you listen to them actively and can help, and you want them to get to solutions on their own. Anything on your mind that you want us to dive in? So you're displaying active listening. You're opening the session with some genuine curiosity and not just your agenda. In scene two, Jordan goes, honestly, I'm stressed. My mom wants me to be a nurse, but I think I want to do research, but I don't know if I'm smart enough. So you see during this time, active listening. Marcus does not interrupt Jordan while he's speaking. He lets Jordan finish his statement before jumping in with advice. So after listening to what Jordan has said, Marcus responds with some strength spotting. Wait, but you just analyzed your own situation and your family dynamics in 2 sentences. That is researcher thinking. You're already doing it. And then Marcus says, so, and I apologize for giving Marcus the wrong color in scene four, but Marcus then goes on to say, so your goal was to research One Health program this week. Did you get to do that? What would help you take next steps? So also supporting his goal. So you see, Marcus starts off with listening actively, opening the session with some curiosity about what Jordan is going through, allowing Jordan to say what he needs and what his situation is without interrupting, and then spotting strengths in him that Jordan probably did not even recognize he had, and then going back to week one and being like, but you said that your goal was to research One Health research program, and how can I be supportive of that? How can I help you achieve that? So you see how all of the skills are incorporated into the session. It will not look as cut and dry as this, but this is what I want you to practice in your sessions. Listening actively to your mentees, calling out their strengths, and also supporting their goals and allowing them to lead and take direction while providing structure. So now we're going to walk through some scenarios, and I'm going to give you guys a chance to reflect. So, situation one. Amara is a 10th grader who was excited during the first session, and I want you to pause. I, I want you to actually pause this part of the presentation, pause it, go through each situation, read each situation out yourself, think about how you would um, use the three skills of PUID that I called out in that particular situation, and then press play and continue. So I'm going to just read each situation. Situation one. Amara is a 10th grader who was excited during the first session. Today she's quiet, gives short answers, and seems distracted. When you ask how she's doing and says, I'm good, and looks away, you later find out from a BAHEC staff member that she had a rough interaction with a teacher that morning who called her out in front of the class. The challenge. Amara isn't going to bring it up herself. How do you create space without prying? What does active listening look like when someone has learned that adults don't always make it safe to be honest? So think about that. So pause, think, reflect. Situation two. Deshaun is a ninth grader who says he's not really a school person and laughs it off when you ask about his interests. He doesn't see the point of exploring health careers. That's not really for people like me. As the session goes on, you learn he translates for his grandmother at the doctor's appointments, handles emergencies at home calmly, and has been looking out for his little brother since he was in middle school. He's been told in 100 small ways that he doesn't belong in these spaces. How do you name his strengths in a way that lands, not as charity, but as truth? Take a moment again to reflect, answer. Situation three. Jasmine is a rising 11th grader, apologies, who came in saying she wanted a nurse. Now she's not sure. Maybe a doctor. Maybe she wanted to be a nurse. Apologies. Maybe a doctor, but she'll do something with community health. Maybe she won't go to college at all because her family needs her to work. She seems embarrassed and says, I know I just need to pick something. Her school counselor told her that she should be more realistic. The challenge. The adults in her life keep narrowing her options. How do you support her goals without adding to that pressure? And how do you help her see that not having it all figured out at 16 is not a personal failure? Again, pause, reflect on how you would go about that. And situation four. Toward the end of session three, Marcus quietly tells you things have been rough. His neighborhood has been tense, he hasn't been sleeping, and he's been thinking about whether any of this, the program, the career stuff, even matters for someone like him. He says it almost like a throwaway, then tries to change the subject. But earlier in the session, you watched him be the first one to check on a pair who got emotional during an activity, the challenge. Marcus just handed you something real and then pulled back. How do you stay with him in that moment without making it clinical or therapeutic or heavy? How do you reflect back what you saw in him today without it feeling like a performance? And how do you keep his sense of possibility alive without dismissing what's actually weighing on him? Again, pause, take a moment to figure out how you would react in these situations, and then move on. Okay, so let's talk through it. So for Amara, don't ask her again. Open the door instead, right? Skip the direct question. So in Amara's situation, recall that the teacher, um, she kind of had a terrible interaction with the teacher or the facilitator of that session that morning, right? So don't ask her again, oh, what happened with the teacher? Mention low key to her, just be like, hey, Amara, today, you're something about the way you interacted during the session felt a little bit different. Would you like to talk about it more? I'm always open to talking about anything that you went through during the day. If you would not like to talk, that's okay, but I'm just letting you know that there is space to talk about it, right? So that is a way of putting the ball in her court, ensuring her that you are there to give space and to listen actively to whatever the situation is. In Deshaun's case, right, he talks about not really being a school person, but he does all of the things. He translates for his grandmother, he handles the emergencies at home, and he helps his little brother. So, this is an opportunity for strengths spotting, right? Reflecting his own evidence back to him, being like, hey, you said you don't think that you will be a good person for a health career, but you do all of the things that are associated with working in the field of health. You already translate medical information for your grandma, and you stay calm in emergencies. That is what working in healthcare looks like, you know? So connecting it back to the role of healthcare, um, while also giving him that compliment and helping him see that, hey, that's a strength that would actually be great in healthcare. In Jasmine's scenario, she talks about being unsure, right? Because she's not sure she wants to be a doctor. She's not sure about college, but her counselor is telling her be realistic, as if they don't believe in her. Reframe her feeling unsure, and helping her recognize that being unsure is not being a failure. Because I feel too oftentimes our teens often come from this perspective that because they are unsure about the health career they'd like to pursue, and they have all of these adult opinions, that they have some way failed themselves and others. You know, name that all three paths that you listed are health careers, but she also doesn't need to do any of those careers. And there are so many health careers, and she can continue to dig into which one she's actually interested in and figure out if those are the ones she actually wants to do. And which is why her just being in BAHEC would be so great because she gets to be exposed to so many different health careers, right? It's not just the doctor, nurse, um health careers, but you also learn, for example, you might not want to be doctor, nurse, but girl, you learned about a speech language pathologist the other day. Is that something you may also be interested in? You learned about an audiologist the other day. Is that something you, so letting her know that it's okay to be unsure, particularly at 16. I don't know what I want to be at 16, darling. I don't expect you to know either. And even as an adult, I still don't know. There are some days I'm like, am I working in the right field? Do I want to do something different? Life is a journey. It's really the journey and not the destination. So letting her know that it's okay. So you listen to her actively, but then also letting her realize, hey, honey bun, it's okay to be unsure. And then in scenario four, um, with Marcus, like Marcus laid some heavy truths on you, right? But even when he pulls back, this says he pulls back after he mentions that he hasn't been sleeping and like his neighborhood has been tense. Don't, when he pulls back, don't try to like chase him. Instead, name what you saw. Be like, hey, Marcus, I realized today that you checked in on a peer, even though you yourself are not feeling great. That means you are an empathetic person. And that means you have the ability to show up for others, even when things are not going great for you. And that is evidence that, you know, you are the right person to be in this program, because it also says he's not sure about if the program and the career stuff is a good fit for him. Your ability to check up on others is the number one thing a public health professional, for example, would do. You know, in public health, we look at other people's well beings, and sometimes we have to put ours, to the side momentarily. And so that makes you such a great person. You're empathetic, and that matters, right? So calling out his strengths, recognizing the things that he said to you, while also calling out his strengths and showing to him that, hey, on this hand, the neighborhood, the not sleeping, all these bad things are happening. And on the other hand, you're empathetic, you're doing the do, you belong here. and really letting you know you belong in this program. You matter. Look at the way you checked up on your peer. So just really reinforcing that although things may be going wrong, there are still strengths that you are noticing in his approach to the mentorship sessions. So these are just some scenario walkthroughs, and I hope they were helpful in really like connecting with the three skills of skill spotting, of strength spotting, apologies, supporting the young people's goals, as well as actively listening to what they say under positive youth development. And so, just some final thoughts, things to reflect on before every session. What assumptions might I be bringing into this relationship or this mentorship session that I should let go? And this is a positionality question, thinking about who am I? What are my biases? How do I think about Black and Brown young people, even though I might be Black and Brown? What are some socioeconomics that may be different? What are some residential differences? What are just things that I carry within me that I haven't processed that may show up in this session? Two, how comfortable am I with silence or slow conversation? And how can I get more comfortable? There may be moments of silence in a session where young people have no questions, or don't have anything else to say, or there may be moments where they have a lot to say. Being comfortable with those highs and lows in mentorship will get you a long way. Three, what strengths do I have that I would love to model for my mentees, right? Am I a principled person? Am I empathetic? Am I good at researching things? What skills do you want to model for your group of young people? And what will I do if my mentee seems disengaged or doesn't want to talk? How can I use restorative accountability? How can I call out their strengths while helping them find their own solutions to being disengaged or not wanting to talk? And so the key takeaways from this module, PYD means focusing on what you have, their strengths, not what they lack. The 5 C's guide your mentorship, helping them build competence, confidence, connection, character, and the ability to care. Active listening means sometimes they may need to talk 70% of the time, and you may need to be silent. Other times, it may be in the reverse. Spotting skills, be specific. Don't just be generic, as in you're great, but be like, I recognize that you are great with getting your peers to calm down after we do an icebreaker. Kudos to you. Being very specific about the strength that you're calling out and supporting young people's goals. Remember, they are creating their own goals. It is not your role and responsibility to tell them what goals they should have. Let them come up with their own goals. You can help them, guide them through navigating that, but the goals are theirs. Okay, so don't tell them what their goals should be. Just listen and guide. And so, thank you so much. That's the end of module 2. Please do this 7-question quiz, and that's it. So that was the end of module 2. Thank you so much.